Good evening. The chair calls the GLCSD regularly scheduled board meeting for May the 7th, 2024 at 5 o'clock p.m. Let us bow our heads for a moment of silent meditation and prayer. Amen. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it has been presented.
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item number 3, policy updates review. Agenda item 3.1, review of all D policies. Finance, agenda item 3.2, approval of J policies, policies JAA through JE, and JGCDA-P, management of Narcan and other opioid antagonists.
Okay. Those are separate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Let's see here. Those recommendations. Okay, so we're just reviewing
Yes, ma'am. The
D policies. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, colleagues, we're just reviewing all D policies. You should have copies of both D policies, which are regarding fiscal management, and all J policies, those are regarding students. And they are also separate attachments. Attorney Simmons, can you hear the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you
Yes, ma'am.
had
Can you hear me,
any-
Dr. Moore? I'll be there in 5 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have reviewed the D policies, and they won't be up for approval until the next board meeting. So it's for the board to continue to review those D policies. But as it relates to the J policies, they were at this meeting.
We may need to table. Yes, until until Attorney Simmons gets in, we may need to table the policy. So we'll table the J policies, Mr. Waldington, until Attorney Simmons gets here.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we'll go ahead on and take action on D policies.
We were gonna continue to approve
Nope.
these, but they wouldn't be up for approval.
Right.
For next.
Okay.
Dr. Moore, no action on the D policies. The D policies are just for review, and we'll review those for 30 days until we come back to the June board meeting.
Yes, but there is a recommendation form here for us to just take action on a review. So how about we just
Okay.
table both of those? What would you like?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll move forward with the recommendation for just the review. Yeah. Right, well, that's exactly right. Not, at least right now. Okay. We're gonna table both policies. Mr. Waldington, we'll table both until he gets in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Wallington, next item, please.
Agenda item 4, approval of the April 2nd, 2024 regular board meeting minutes, April 9, 2024 special call meeting, and April 24, 2024 special call meeting and work session minutes.
Okay, colleagues, are there any comments, concerns regarding our board meeting minutes?
Well, we need to wait for the attorney to, okay.
We'll probably table that as well. Okay. Mr. Waldington, we'll table the minutes as well. That's agenda item 4. Attorney Simmons?
Yes, ma'am, I'm in Greenwood, Dr. Boyd.
Okay, we're gonna table item 4 as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Waldington, next item, agenda item 5.
Agenda item 5, bond issue update.
Okay. Attorney Simmons?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. You're fine. Is this Mr. Harrison? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Attorney Harrison is here. Would you like us to move forward since Attorney Harrison is here?
Yes, ma'am.
You can do a review once you get into the building.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Harrison, please come forward.
Thank you, Madam President, Board, Superintendent. We did have a discussion with staff and administration on Thursday, a pretty productive Zoom. And some of the things that we discussed were big picture, and then we drilled down into the weeds. What I did share with the administration was a better version of the template timeline and some discussion regarding the process for the election. I also shared a template timeline or a sample of another deal, very, very similar to how I believe this deal might go. And with respect to the blanks that were provided, or that the blanks that were, with regard to when the intent of the resolution, when the election ballot has to be prepared, in the other template timeline, those were all filled in with respect to that other deal. And the reason those are still blanks, what is very pertinent and I think imminent for the district is making some decisions regarding the actual project itself. And what that requires, Madam President, is the engagement of an architect, if that has not already been done, or re-engagement with the architect to actually crystallize the project. So before that intent resolution and an election ballot and the ballot itself, that when that's submitted to the election commission, you want to know exactly what the project is. You want to know the cost of the project. When I've seen successful elections, you've actually got not necessarily with the ballot, but you've got pictures of the thing, the entity that you're voting on. And you really understand the cost from the standpoint of everything that is going to have to be purchased. If it's a new desk, then so be it. We need to understand those costs from the minute all the way down to the big picture, dirt, roads, infrastructure, et cetera. So that's something that the architect, that we work with the architect to really crystallize and understand the project. What I don't want to happen from just a prudent standpoint put it out there before you go to the public, before it's published in the paper. And that goes to that timeline that we talked about the last time, that whenever that intent resolution is done, generally, you have to satisfy that 3-week, 21 days, prior, and then have it published in the paper. And that satisfies the statute. Obviously, you will, the PTA and members of the public and designated individuals will begin, working to talk about the bond issue. We will come and provide Q&A whenever there are meetings, just answering the public's questions. You want to do various things like that. But at the heart of it is the project, knowing how much it costs, knowing the site, knowing where it's going to be, understanding the infrastructure and things of that nature. So I think that's the biggest thing that probably came out of our meeting, which was probably about an hour that we had a really robust discussion just about some of the mechanics of past potential bond transactions that the district was looking at, and just answering questions. And we got a lot of our questions answered from the administration, and the administration asked us some questions as well, and that's when we kind of followed up with that email with sort of the timeline and some mechanics about how the election works. I will pause there and answer any questions you might have.
Okay.
Yep, Dr. Moore, may I
Yes.
address the board now?
Yes.
So, yes, as Attorney Harrison mentioned, he did in fact have that meeting with Superintendent Walderton and top district personnel regarding the new high school. As he mentioned, a lot of what he is saying is legal in nature, and Attorney Harrison, you can jump in if you want to, but mainly in order, before we get to the point of issuing bonds, which I understand that we would like to do based upon the board making its decision that this is the route that they want to go by next February. In order for us to get to that point, of course, there are certain legal requirements that we have to meet, but then also before we get there, we have to have an effective campaign and have a successful election. In order to do that, based upon my meetings with Attorney Harrison, who is by far the expert in this area, we would need the support of the district in moving forward with the board's decision regarding this particular matter, because the district will work hand in hand with Attorney Harrison and with the community in order to get us to the point of having an effective campaign and a successful election. Critically important at this point, as I understand, there are some prior plans in the district regarding a new high school, but it's a board decision, which is important to us going forward for the bond issue. It's a board decision on whether or not we use the architect that already has produced those plans, or whether or not we go with a new architect. So sooner than later, we need the board to make a decision regarding an architect, because that's part of the process of us actually doing that notice of intent, campaigning, having a successful election, and meeting all of the requirements in the timeline. I believe Attorney Harrison has provided you all with some documents.
President, I did provide those the last time. I didn't bring them to this meeting.
Okay.
But I circulated them with the administration and the
Trey, we got them. We got them, Trey.
Okay.
We got them. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ms. Rimmer has them.
She does. She's making.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the timeline that we're kind of looking at, this board, which would get us to February if you choose that November 5th election date. And then I provided you with a template timeline for another transaction that will just show you all of those steps. And those pertinent steps are where the blanks are. And those blanks, the intent resolution, that's the document that needs some specificity.
Okay, so I hear you talk about gaps or blanks. What, okay, what document,
Ms. Rimmer's bringing it.
yeah,
to you.
okay,
Yes,
all right,
ma'am.
and what is the title of that document again?
So one of the seminal documents is the intent resolution.
Okay, intent resolution.
So you've engaged this, and you did that at your March meeting, but one of the most important or significant steps, public steps, where you take a vote, is the actual intent. We intend to issue these bonds, and in doing so, we're going to have an election. And then there's also an election resolution. And in the election resolution, it's tied to the intent. They're generally adopted on the same date. The intent resolution will just follow the statute, and it'll have specificity regarding, this district is going to build, public buildings, and then you may name a public high school, you may name other things that will be a part of the high school, and equipment, and infrastructure, and this, and that, kind of trying to tie it all in, so with the intent resolution. And then, sometimes, generally, the general rule, I'll actually attach to the intent resolution an exhibit A, and that will be sort of the working papers of the architect, providing more specificity about the project. Then the election resolution, that is the one that talks about we intend to hold an election on this date. And in the election resolution, that document will actually have the form of the ballot that will be submitted to the election commission. So again, what we're trying to do, I want to be very clear with respect to the public when they're going to the polls, for or against, one page, and then the block language will go back to, you're voting for a high school building and equipment, and all the things that are attached to that building for a total amount not to exceed X. And so with respect to the architect, we can back ourselves into what the district can afford, but we still do need specificity from the architect regarding the actual project. So, for example, if you know the site, then we need them to do some preliminary numbers with their engineering and their architect team regarding the amount of infrastructure and site work. If we know we need an access road, we need to have a budget regarding that. So that's the type of things that I want to think through, with respect to the actual project, so the public knows, oh, this is what we're voting on. And then, they want to have some rendering. So if the public, you say as the campaign is going on, this board might decide to call a couple of special meetings. And at those special meetings, it may just be a Q&A where I stand and I answer questions. If the public has questions regarding, if we vote for this, how much our taxes are going to go up based on our vote. They want to understand all of the mechanics. How many, and so we want the architect here as well. How many students will this building hold? Will this building be energy efficient? Like, I don't know what kind of questions are going to come from that audience, but I've seen a lot of different things come. You want to be prepared. And then as you hear those questions, you type them down, because you're probably going to get some of those same questions if you hold another forum where the public can come and ask questions. And that's what you're doing, just trying to make sure they see it, they see whatever that thing is, and then you're answering their questions. And ultimately, yeah, you are deciding to move forward, but it's really up to the voters. If they decide not to move forward, they decide not to move forward. If they decide to go forward, then we proceed on with the project. But you want to answer the public's as many of their questions as you can, and that's why I think it's important to make sure that engineer is dialoguing with the administration, talking about the building, dialoguing with the board to make sure everybody's on the same page with the project, if it's a high school, with the site, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Attorney Simmons, any more comments?
I have a question.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, question.
So, did you say that, and I think we do, already have a plan that's been drawn up? So, then the board will have to look at that and determine if they want to use, if you want to use that one.
Yes, that in my experience,
Yes, sir. I apologize. Well, the renderings that the board received, I want to say during the fall, you know, they are proprietary to the architectural firm that had it at the time. So we don't have those to be able to move forward with because they're proprietary to them. And my thought process, if the board favors the renderings that were given to them in the fall, then when we're talking about having to get an architect, it would be my recommendation, you know, to you all that consider just continuing or using the architectural firm that came up with those renderings so that we can have all of that information to be able to move forward instead of starting at scratch, you know, as far as a rendering is concerned, so.
I agree.
And if I may, I'm sorry. And just to follow up what Superintendent Walton said, President Moore and Board Member Lewis and Board, who you all decide on architect has nothing to do with bond counsel or me. That's completely, I know you about to say that. That's completely up to the board. It's just that it's important, it's a critical step in order for us to move forward.
But if we already have that on hand, to me, it would make good financial sense. Cause I don't think too many things would have changed from then until now, so.
that would be my recommendation. If there is an architect that you have, commissioned to prepare some plans, they still have those plans, then, if it is this will and pleasure of this board to move forward, I would think it would be in your interest to acquire those plans, dialogue with the architect, to make sure those plans are still good, viable plans, which to your point, they should be still good plans. And, you know, we have not talked to the architect yet, but we would like to do that with this board, this administration's, agreement to go ahead and move forward and reach out to that architect. But we don't wanna get over our skis until you have said, this is what we wanna do. But, did wanna come before you and say, this is our recommendation. We do need to engage an architect, and we do need to start having those dialogues regarding the project itself. And if I may, so the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District timeline, when I said blanks, there's some points right there, to be determined, several of those. So you do have time, so in looking at that timeline, you can flip over to the other one, and you'll see in January of 2020, September 30, 2019, they adopted their intent and election resolution. And then the vote, or the election was held, that was a special election, it was held in December. So you're right about the time where you kind of want to start adopting those, and then before you publish, you'll follow the statute in terms of those dates, and we'll make sure that it's in the paper when it needs to be in the paper. But, you know, it's May now, and so this is the time with respect to figuring out the project and starting to drum up that support. It should be happening right now. This is that time, so this meeting is timely, should you want to move forward with engaging that architect.
Okay, Mr. Wallington, when will we get, these to be determined dates solidified?
Those dates will be solidified, and I think that it has to do with the, you know, the engagement as far as knowing what it is that we're going to do, okay? That has to be our main focus now, and once we get that, once we engage an architect and we know the renderings that we have, you all have looked over those and said that, hey, this is what we're gonna do, infrastructure-wise, equipment-wise, and that's what it's going to be, then all of these dates can be filled in, you know, through our process with, you know, with Attorney Harrison and Attorney Simmons.
Okay, Attorney Harrison, I'm looking at, I see two dates at the top. The third, field, district to adopt intent and election resolution. So typically, have districts done that around this month in order to stay timely within the, in the rest of the year, moving forward toward the rest of the year?
It depends, but let's look at the other timeline, and you see that election was in December. And they adopted the intent resolution, election resolution in September. They
Okay.
began to publish to satisfy the statute, with regard to that 21-day, 3-week, has to be in the paper, in a countywide paper, following the statute. They began to do that in November. So they had a couple of months. I mean, it was the end of September. So they had all of October, and then they began publishing, putting it in the paper. So again, at that point, the public is in the paper, they know. But likely, you want to start engaging. And, you know, there is election fatigue. You know, people start hearing about something.
Dr. Moore, you don't have that, what he's talking about
Okay.
yet. She's bringing, it's a template,
Okay.
like an example. She didn't
Okay.
have that, we're getting ready to, Ms. Rimmer's bringing her that.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you gonna bring you
It's
on
okay.
that.
But Dr. Moore, while she's getting there, let me just add to what Attorney Harrison is saying. At the last meeting or in the March meeting, keep in mind, in order to have an effective campaign and a successful election, that's still up to us to decide when we want to have the election. So, we know we got a presidential election coming up, but in order to be successful in having the voters support a bond issue, as a board, we may decide we don't want to have our election on that same day. We may decide as a board, we want our election to be on X date. And from that date, based off the timeline that Ms. Rimmer is going to provide, and also what Attorney Harrison talked about at the March meeting, we work our way backwards with that notice of intent and meeting the statutory or the legal requirements. Because at some point, again, we have to go in front of the Chancery Court and get all this stuff approved. But you could jump in, Trey, if I said something.
Did not.
Okay.
You said exactly what it's your election, and for the other template that you'll see shortly, they had theirs in December. And they had it at one location. And so the general rule is if you have it during a presidential or general election, you kind of want to piggyback and, you know, have it wherever the voters are voting. But if it's a special election, likely cheaper to have it in one location, all the ballots are here, you publish it, again, you publish it, you're letting the public know in that intent resolution and that election resolution, this is where it's gonna be headed. And you're just satisfying the law. The law says this is what you have to do, then you're satisfying the law. And so with regard to, yes, ma'am?
That information, would that information be, placed in the adopt the intent? All of that information you just stated, that will be in that intent, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
That's why it's important. So you're not only are you letting them know where they come, you're letting them know, you got that ballot, in terms of for or against, you're letting them know the amount, you're letting them know, that location, and then you're letting them know, what I'm trying to do is let them know everything about the project that they will be voting for or against. And so that's why it's important to make some decisions with that architect. If it is a high school, then this is where, this is what we're looking at, this is the cost. Because, you wanna borrow enough. And then in the inverse, you don't wanna borrow too much. So you wanna make, what we're trying to do is make sure you're getting this exactly right based on when you're gonna be building things, when you're gonna be putting things out for bid, et cetera, et cetera. The diligence requires us to ask all these hard questions, make sure you think about these hard questions, and ultimately it's up for those voters. And you wanna put enough information, in front of them so they can make a very informed decision about what they're gonna do for the district.
Question, Mr. Wallington, can you restate what you stated about the architect? Because I keep hearing that come up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My suggestion for consideration as far as the board is concerned, if the renderings that were received by the board in the fall were sufficient, meaning that the board, approved those, meaning you're okay with those. If that's sufficient, then the only way that we could receive those renderings again is to reattach ourselves to that architectural firm, okay? To be able to get that information, to be able to, approve those renderings or make adjustments to them. Other than that, as Attorney Simmons has said, it's totally up to the board as to who you all get as an architect. But it's vitally important that, that get done as quickly as possible to be able to move forward. But my statement is that for us to get those renderings, we would have to engage with that architect, that the district had in the fall.
Okay.
I think, yes.
One more point I'd like to make.
Okay,
And I have a question.
okay, okay.
I want you to go as slow or as fast as you wanna go. So if that November 5th date doesn't work for you, then we need to discuss that. And that needs to be discussion with the administration and with the architect, if that's something that we need to revisit. All I was doing in terms of preparing that timeline is going off of what I heard, based on the previous meeting. And so, very amenable to tweaking what needs to be tweaked. If we need to tweak something and move that, happy to do that. Would love to continue our dialogue with the administration. Would love to do that in conjunction with whatever architect you decide to move forward with. But I think once that happens, it will continue to crystallize and become more productive, and you'll see things develop, particularly the rendering and just the project. What I'm trying to nail down is how much does this thing cost? So we don't, A, we borrow enough, and B, we don't borrow too much.
Okay. Question from Ms. Abraham and then Ms. Lewis.
Well, I thought we already voted on that architect, did we not?
I don't think we vote, I do know it was presented. I do know it was presented, during that time, Ms. Coleman, that was presented, in the fall. What, Dr. Coleman, I apologize. That was, presented in the fall.
I thought it was
Okay.
under the superintendent's report that
What architect
We
are we
wouldn't
talking
have
about?
passed a vote on it for them to proceed?
well, it was under the superintendent's report, it was all taken as a package from maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's what I remember.
But just because it was in the minutes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Rimmer, if it was in the minutes, is that an official approval?
It depends on how the recommendations stay.
Okay, cause I don't recall that. And then too, I do know that, there was a time where, Dr. Coleman and the administration during that time set aside time for us to review that. It was only a few of us that, zoomed in. I recall it was a Zoom meeting. And I attended, I think, at that time, the president attended. But I would like, if we're going to go with those renderings, I would like a presentation and then up to the board, and then us to go ahead on and finalize a intent, notice of intent date. We need to go ahead on and approve that. And I will, and Ms. Lewis, did you?
I have a question.
Yes, question.
So in your discussion on Thursday, was it discussed, was a location discussed? Cause we still, I don't know of a location.
See, all of that was presented in the fall. That's why I'm requesting Mr. Walderton and upper level, administration to present this again so that we can see what was actually planned.
But it wasn't decided on, right?
No, it was, no, but it was planned in detail. It was quite a bit of work that had gone into those plans. And so I would like for the board to officially see that again. And if Mr. Wallington, you could, have upper level administration get together and present that to the board. We can move forward with that and then, get with, Mr. Attorney Harrison, and we can get together with a date for the notice of intent.
What,
Coach Fan,
what's the name of the architectural group that we not decided on, but we discussed? So what,
can you,
I can't hear you.
M3 Architects,
M3?
M3 Architects, yes, sir.
and where were they located?
Jackson.
Okay. Okay.
When was this decided?
Ye-
Under who?
It was under M3, but they provided a presentation during that time to the board. I think it was an email sent to the board to be presented to us.
I don't remember.
I thought
It's
it was
okay.
under the superintendent's report because I questioned whether we had made a vote. And they said, oh, well, you voted for the superintendent's report. I remember that.
Is it a possibility, Ms. Ripper, you could pull those minutes?
Yeah,
Ms. Lewis, we got a long agenda. Can
Oh,
we
I
look
was
at the
just-
minutes?
no, just
Yeah, we
whenever.
can get the minutes
Whenever.
later. Okay, we have quite a bit to cover here, quite a bit of ground, and so,
So
we
what-
want to thank you. Hold
Yes,
just a moment. Mr. Walton.
I was just gonna say, so what we're tasked to do is to get in contact with M3 Architects and get them to come and make that make that presentation again. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Make it
We'll do that.
official because we have a new, board member on
Yes, ma'am.
board who was not here during that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Attorney Simmons? Okay, I would like to request, are there any more comments or concerns, from the table? Okay, I would like to ask Mr. Wallington that we place, the bond issue discussion on every board agenda. For the regular board meeting, I would like an update each, board meeting as to where we are with this, timeline. And hopefully at our next, next monthly meeting, we will have nailed down an architect and be ready to, make a selection for a date for the notice of intent.
President Moore,
Yes.
based upon your request for the next board meeting, I do recommend as the board attorney that if any other architect is gonna be considered, that architect, along with Superintendent Waldington and Attorney Harrison, be done between that time. So whatever presentation is done, any and all architects could be available to present before the board at that meeting so that a decision would be made at that meeting, as opposed to just hearing from the architect in the fall, and if you all decide not to go with that architect, then we pushing ourselves back another month before we consider another one. So my recommendation, President Moore, is that if Superintendent Waldington and the board, as well as Attorney Harrison, to the extent any other architects would be considered, if we could work at the district level with Superintendent Waldington and top district personnel to figure out what, if any, renderings they will have, so that at that time, all architects and all renderings will be presented to the board at the next meeting, and at that time, the board can decide which architect to go with.
Okay. Colleagues, are there any more questions, comments, or concerns? Attorney Harrison, do you have any more comments? We want to thank you for traveling here today and making your presentation, and we will see you at our next board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see. We're going to, how about we move forward, Mr. Wallington? And then Attorney Simmons will come back toward the end, and those items that were tabled, we'll come back and take action on those items that were tabled. So I think at this point, Mr. Wallington, on the agenda, we are at the superintendent's report, item 6.
Agenda item 6, superintendent's report. 6.1, data report for 3rd grade through high school. On your desk, I placed some updated data on your desk. Yes, ma'am, right there, right next to your microphone. Because the data that I placed in the agenda at the time from the work session, we had not received some data from our 3rd grade ELA and or our KRA scores from our kindergarten and pre-kindergarten, but we have. And again, before I, present this data to the board, I would like to say that this data is still embargoed by the Mississippi Department of Education, so it can't be printed, in as far as news or placed out, but we can discuss that in a board meeting. So our 3rd grade ELA results, the document that I gave to you all is a longitudinal passing percentage from 22, 23, and 24. And as you can see, the Greenwood-LaFleur Consolidated School District, we increased 7% in the number of students passing from 23 to 24, from 49% to 56%. Thurgood Elementary School increased 12% from 43% to 55%. East Elementary School increased the percent passing 2%, 49% to 51%. LaFleur County Elementary School increased 18% from 46% to 64%. Davis Elementary increased 4% from 54% to 48%. And Bankston Elementary School increased 6% from 55% to 61%. We do have retesting for our 3rd graders, which will be on the 8th, May 8th, as far as this week is concerned. And then we also have another retesting date, which will be in the month of June. So we're working through our remediation, for those students that did not pass. We also got a document from MDE that is extremely helpful this year because it gave us those students that did not pass this time. It let us know how many points they were away from passing. We had quite a few students that was 1 to 6 points away from passing the test. Some were 7 to 11, and then some were 11 to 15. So we were using that document. We're using the information that we have to remediate those students for the next testing cycle. So we did improve from the school year before.
How many students do we have this time
It was approximately 333.
that need to retest?
No, sir. No, sir. Not that need to retest. 44% of that 333 need to retest. I don't know exactly what that number is.
Mr. Washington, did 333 students test on the initial test? What was the percentage of those?
That it was on the first day. We did have some students that were absent, but we did catch them up as far as testing on the retesting day, which was day 2. So it was over 95%, which is the cutoff as far as MDE is concerned.
Okay.
44% of 333 need retesting.
Yes,
That's almost half.
yes.
We're very proud of the gains that were made. I'm noticing the increased percentages and from 1% of the previous year to this particular percent for this year. But when you look at an overarching percentage of 333 at 44%, that's not too much from half. Yeah. And you said, and what was the percentage, Mr. Wallington, of those that, of the remaining percentage that need retesting? Those students that need retesting, what was, we didn't know the percentage of the students that did need, that were a couple of points away from the actual score.
No, ma'am, we don't have that.
Okay.
I can get that information to you all in an email tomorrow.
Okay.
But we do know after the last opportunity, that percentage, I mean, in the past has decreased
Should decrease.
significantly.
Yes. it
Well, I
is.
don't know about significant, but it did decrease. Yeah, I do recall in years past that there was a decrease in that percentage rate. But I'm just afraid, out of that particular population, you know, how can we reach the ones that we didn't reach? How can we reach those, and then hopefully we will not lose those students to becoming a repeater due to this particular assessment? So that would impact our the number of students that we would have lost out of the district. And I think that was a question I asked earlier in one of the board meetings. What was the largest percentage of the, which grade had the largest percentage of no returns to the district? So I just didn't want, and again, I'll say the increases, I'm impressed with the percentage increases from year to year. There has been growth. But looking at that overarching 333 and 44% needing retesting of 333, that's still quite high. Colleagues, are there any more?
I do want to
Okay.
say that, you know, two important variables have
Okay.
to be considered. And that's going to be student attendance and teacher attendance. And
Yes.
so that teacher attendance is something that is going to have to be heavily looked upon. And the students as well, because if they're not there, they can't be taught. So,
That's true.
I mean, it's just so many variables in this. But we'll see what the last administration will bring about.
When is that last testing date, Mr. Walton?
And
It's in June. I don't know exactly the date.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Wallington, you may continue.
We have the kindergarten readiness assessment data, pre-kindergarten, and to reiterate what it is that Ms. Lewis said, teacher attendance and student attendance in the third grade is vitally important, but this data is the most important data when it comes down to third grade gate. You're going to have to make sure that as a school district, that pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade is actually the strongest grades that you have when you're talking about third grade gate. If we're waiting till they get to third grade, we're already behind the 8 ball. Okay? So that's what it is that we're concentrating on under this administration, is to put resources, put accountability into pre-K, first grade, second grade, pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade. And as you can see with the information that you have before you, that in our pre-kindergarten, the scale, the score, the percent as far as growth is concerned, and the percent of the pre-K students that are scoring at the 498, which is the state cutoff, has increased significantly over last year, and it increased over the year before as well. As you can see that the scale score comparison from spring 2023 to spring 2024, you can see that the Greenwood LaFleur's Consolidated School District went up 49 points over the year before. Claudine Brown improved 51 points. LaFleur County Elementary improved 9 points, and Threadgill Primary improved 13 points as far as the scale score is concerned. These students are going to be, if they continue to matriculate and we continue the way that we, as far as the curriculum, assessment, and instruction, and we holding people accountable for educating these students at the highest level we possibly can, we won't have the discussions that we're having now when it comes down to third grade students, simply because these students were prepared to pass the test when they leave the second grade. We're just wondering who's going to score proficient. And the percent of students pre-K that scored 498, it went up for the district 9.1%. Claudine Brown went up 16%. LaFleur County Elementary went up 19.2%, and Threadgill Primary went up 10%. So now you're looking at the percentage of students scoring above or at 498. It is our expectation once they get to third grade that these will be the percentage of passing for third grade at 80%, 88%, 85%, because we're preparing them for that. And, and we're looking forward to, those types of gains in the future. Kindergarten readiness, which is their test, they have to score 681 or above. As you can see that for the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District, our scale score went up 25 points. Bankston went up 43. Claudine Brown went up 37. Davis Elementary School went up 36. There was a decrease as far as LaFleur County Elementary School, but that is a teacher issue as far as a teacher being out, so the expectations are there, but we're going to have things in place for these students as well. And Threadgill Primary went up 7 points. So as you can see that the percentage of students that passed from 23 to that as far as 24, you can see that it went up 4% for the district, 13.2 for Bankston, 12.1 for Claudine Brown, 9.3 for Davis Elementary School. You can see that percentage for LaFleur that went down, and then 6.6% for Threadgill Primary. So that is what it is that this administration is doing, to rectify the problem as far as the number of students that's passing the third grade gate, because they have to get certain skills in these grade levels to be able to be successful as far as third grade is concerned. So, we're working to remedy that through the process as far as educating them at the younger ages.
Okay, colleagues, are there any questions or concerns regarding the KRA Spring 2024 data?
I just like to say, I like the positive trend that I'm seeing in this.
We're growing. We're growing. Our systems in the school district that we put in place are growing students. We're getting better. Our deal is that, we're not going to fix something that's not broken. We're going to plan beginning May 18th, May 16th for the next school term, look at what it is that we've done, how we can make that better, and continue to move forward with our children. We think that we're going to have some very, very positive outcomes, in the future, well, in the near future, actually.
Okay,
And-
thank you, Mr. Wallington, for the KRA data.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the third 9 weeks BMA data report, I just gave you all the accountability rating comparison from the spring of 2023. And these are our accountabilities from our state testing. Spring 2023, this is where we were as far as state testing was concerned. And the third 9 weeks is where we are as far as our accountability rating based on the third 9 weeks BMA. And as you can see, in the information that is given, you can see some of the schools did increase. Davis Elementary School went up from a 344 in the spring to a 355 as far as the third 9 weeks BMA. Amanda Elsa Junior High School from 279 to 372. Bankston Elementary School stayed fast on their letter grade, but did decrease as far as the scale score, and so did Greenwood Middle. East Elementary School, their letter grade stayed the same, but it did decrease in the scale score. LeFleur Elementary School decreased in scale score and the letter grade, and so did Threadgill Elementary School. But we do have in place those strategies. We received the information from the third 9 weeks BMA, and we have strategies in place. We began testing today. I think we have third and fourth grade math today, and we will be state testing every day through May the 15th. So we're looking forward to some positive data for our students, because our teachers and students and the consultants that you all allowed us to bring in have worked really, really hard with our students. And as you can see on the last sheet, as far as our high school is concerned, the Floyd County, decreased in scale score and letter grade. So did Greenwood High, and so did Amanda Elsie. But again, we're looking at the test data that they received from the fall, in conjunction with their third 9 weeks VMA, and again, we're working towards remediating our students based on that data to get them where they need to be. We're very optimistic about our outcomes as far as our test scores are concerned for this school term.
Okay, Mr. Wallington, the third 9 weeks BMA data, you said this is fall data.
No, ma'am, that's spring data. That's spring
Okay,
data.
okay.
That's what we just finished in April.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Spring 24 data. Yes, ma'am.
Colleagues, are there any other questions, concerns, or comments regarding the third 9 weeks benchmark assessment data?
So we changed it from 23rd to 24th.
It's there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Wallington.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the next items on the superintendent's report is student attendance, teacher attendance, student discipline, and maintenance. This information you all received in the work session packet, and it did not change from then till now.
Mr. Wallington, I'm looking at, and colleagues, I'm looking at page 34, and I'm looking at that teacher attendance.
Yes, ma'am.
What have we done to maybe rectify? I see some issues in this teacher attendance report, and if nothing changed, the student attendance report, ADA, it has remained steadfast. But I'm looking at it's no congruency with this teacher attendance report.
And yes, ma'am, you are absolutely correct. In discussion as far as teacher attendance is concerned, and my discussion that I've had with principals, there's going to have to be some policies or board-approved procedures when it comes down as far as teacher attendance is concerned. You know, because there is a fine line on can you discipline a teacher for not coming to school if they have the days and they have done it they have addressed on taking these days in the correct way, if that makes sense. What is it that can happen in a situation, you know, such as that? Of course, the principals are, you know, speaking with teachers that are taking days that don't have any days left. You know, that is an issue, because we do have quite a few with that. But we're going to have to come up with some strategies as far as our teacher attendance is concerned, because, you know, Dr. Moore, you're absolutely right, because it looks as though our ADA for our students is
has remained
gone
consistent.
up. It's gone. We're above 90% in all of our schools. But as far as our teacher attendance is concerned, you know, we have East Elementary School with only 68.94% of the teachers came to school during this particular time period.
And the benchmark assessment shows
And
it.
the benchmark assessment shows it as well. You're absolutely right, Dr. Moore. All of that data ties together. It absolutely does. You know, so, you know, we have to make sure that, you know, that we've looked in the mirror and that we fixed everything that we possibly can, you know, because right now our children are coming to school, okay? And we're going to have to make sure that we're doing the same to give them the best education that we possibly can. But we will be bringing, you know, some procedures, and, you know, that I will definitely run through the attorney first to make sure that that's something that we can do that would help with these low percentage teacher attendance percentages.
Okay. Colleagues, are there any other questions or concerns regarding our attendance reports from both student and teacher? Okay, Mr. Waldington.
Yes, ma'am. You can see the student discipline infractions. Actually, they are going down, gradually going down each month. Again, I have to repeat, as far as Greenwood Middle is concerned, Mr. Taylor, you know, he has put all of his anything that he does as written when it comes down to a student. If it is a counseling session or whatever, he puts that in, which is totally fine with me. You know, keeping up with that documentation is a really good thing. And next is the maintenance report, and as you all can see, some of the things that our maintenance department have been working on for that time period of that was given to them to report.
Colleagues, are there any questions regarding the maintenance report or student discipline infraction report?
On the student discipline report, most of the time, the student discipline report reflects the teachers. And if the teachers are not there, then that means you got a sub in there, or that means that you're doubling up classes with someone. And we all know that when you crowd a bunch of students together, then the more likely you ought to have a problem.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know whether we need to look at better qualified subs, or we need to make sure our teachers come to school.
I think both, Coach. I think both of what you said is the answer to what it is that we've been discussing with that discipline, with the scoring, test scores, the accountability of the schools, because if you look at the data, you'll be able to see that, you know, there is a direct correlation with the accountability of that school at this time, the low percentage of the teacher not being there, and the number of disciplinary infractions that's there. It all ties together. You'll be able to see that it all ties together. So it is important that we get those items, you know, looked at and putting some things in place to help with that.
Okay, colleagues, are there any questions regarding the maintenance report? Okay,
One more question.
okay.
About maintenance. When we are engaged in a new project, like say for instance Threadgill, we're doing a lot of work over there. Do we have someone in the maintenance department to walk behind those people to make sure they are doing what they're supposed to be doing? Because
Yeah.
I'm not a maintenance person, but I've seen some of the work, and I'm not impressed with it at all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Howard and Dr. Coleman, you know, in it, and if we're talking about ESSER, as far as that's concerned, we're talking
Yeah.
about ESSER. They have to, whatever it is that they say that they have finished, Mr. Howard and Dr. Coleman, or both, you know, either or, they go and make sure that they walk through with Mr. Pipper or the contractor to see what it is that they finished before it is brought to me to be signed off on, to be paid. So that's how we're doing that.
Well, Dr. Coleman, the biggest problem is they're not finished with anything. What's the holdup out there?
Working on it. Some of it would have to work around school
You
days.
gotta speak a little louder, Dr. Coleman, I can't hear you.
They're working on, some of it we're working around testing, and we're staying away to keep it.
We hadn't tested all the year. Now, I'm just being perfectly honest. We have not tested all the year, and nothing is complete. They started on this project before school started. Those babies been moved around, over here, over there, no air here, no heat over there. We even had to move some of them to another school. And that's just not acceptable. So if I'm in charge of walking behind those people, then, you know, I would like to see crew chief to get me with supervisor or whatever on that project to make sure those people kind of put a little pep in their step, because they getting paid, and they getting paid very well. So I would like to see it done better.
Any more questions, comments, or concerns regarding the superintendent's report, colleagues? Mr. Waldington.
Superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the May 7, 2024 superintendent's report.
Chair will now entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 7, 16 section report.
Colleagues, please refer to page 41 in your agenda packet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, this is the report for today, from 16 17th section, first, I have, approval to, advertise for a hunting and fishing contract. It's 1616 West. It contains about 526.4 acres more or less. And the prior contract was held by Pin Oak Creek. They were paying $20,000, which is roughly $38 an acre. But their, contract expires in July. So all the thing we're trying to do right now is just, get permission from the board to advertise for the bid process.
Miss,
Okay.
Washington, how much is, acreage? What is the market value of acreage now? Well, I don't know if it's for hunting and fishing land, but what is the normal amount for acreage?
Generally, it ranges, it just depends on who's bidding. Sometimes they can get a bid that's far less than they should, like this is a lot of acres. But again, we're talking about hunting and fishing, and so like say that price is gonna vary anywhere. I think I had about $20-some an acre all the way up to $100 an acre. And then you get, depending on where you are in the county, if it's good, hunting and fishing land too, that contributes to what your price should be on. So like I say, right now, this is a lower bid for that much acreage of $38 an acre.
Okay, question, Ms. Lewis?
How long, has Pin Oak,
This should be
Had
a
this
good
length.
year. This should be a good year.
have they been notified that it's getting ready to expire?
They should already know,
Do-
but if they don't, normally anybody can go, access the Secretary of State's website, public lands, and you can click on it, it'll tell a thing saying, bids that are expiring. Their contract will say that it's expiring, so they already are aware that it's going to expire. But once the bid process, well, board gives you permission, I'm going to send a letter to them to let them know your bid or your contract will be up in July, and you have the right to, a bid again.
So is that a courtesy that's normally extended?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions, colleagues, about the, hunting and fishing contract?
If that's a small bid and we can do better, let's do better because we need it.
So what is the protocol for doing better? Ms. Washington?
Well, we'll look at, last time I gave you an average sheet of what each, like, I did, surrounding counties, and let you know exactly how much the lower and the higher bid were per county, on hunting and fishing and ag land, so that it will give you some kind of a reference point to say, well, I think and you can, as a board, you can always set a standard. You say, well, I'm not gonna receive, or we're not gonna accept any bids, that were less than $50 an acre. That's the right of the board.
Has this person been consistent with their payments?
Yes, I've not had a problem with that.
Sometimes that makes a lot of difference.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, but I would like to know, statewide and from other districts, if possible, what are the funding sources that they are receiving in comparison to, our district? How much more are those, contract persons that have contracts? How much more are they paying market value?
Well, no one is paying the market value.
Okay,
Again, it's based on who submits a bid.
I got you.
And whether a board accepts that bid that they submit.
okay.
Because like I said, the board has the right to reject any and all bids. That's always an option, if you think it's not a fair price for it. But I will give you more data that relates to how much, across the spectrum, hunting and fishing, and how much each district is getting. Because some property is prime, some is not. So you have a lot of variables in there that you can say, well, we pay, somebody may only have, 41 acres, and you do have some other 41 acres. And they may be paying more for those 41 acres than the person with the 500 acres. So you got a lot
Ms. Lewis.
With this type of land, do the people who are leasing it normally put upkeep in it like the farmland?
You mean allow them to come and?
No. These people that's leasing this land for hunting and fishing, do they normally do upkeep like the people who actually lease the farmland?
Well, their requirement is to keep the area clean and not, not leaving a lot of, dead carcasses or trash. They're supposed to upkeep. There is a portion in the contract with everyone who has a leasing agreement that they have to upkeep the property.
And do you have to keep on hand a record of what they may have done to the property or not?
Not that I'm aware of, it is a good idea, but, I definitely wouldn't advise anybody to go out there doing hunting and fishing season, and try to find out if they're leaving something behind, because, you're walking in dangerous territory.
Okay.
But we do have people who have, contacted us and say, okay, these people were doing these particular things that were illegal on the property. And I said, well, the problem is you should have reported it to the district, that way we could intervene by calling in that person and then trying to find out, if it was true or not.
Okay, Ms. Washington.
So can I get a motion from the board, whether or not we're going to approve?
Hold up 1 second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Washington, but President Moore.
Yes.
Now, the motion would be to approve to advertise for bid, but what I heard from the board is that you may want to actually specifically state in the advertisement what you will or would not accept. If you don't do that, that's fine, because when the bids come back before the board, you can still accept or reject what's before you. But if I'm hearing that $38 per acre is not sufficient, then now is the time for you, upon this motion and second, to say what is acceptable, because you want that to go out in the advertisement.
Okay, because I didn't see where that was located, and it just says that prior contract is held by whom, and then they're paying what. So, board members, is this an action that we want to consider?
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
thinking, we don't know what the prime value is. Ms.
That's why I
Washington
asked the question.
would have to present us with that information, because, I don't think any of us could sit here and say, oh, well, that land is worth $50 an acre.
I think we need the comparable values.
So are you suggesting that if we don't have a comparable value for this particular, action item, would you like for us to table it, or what? Ms. Washington?
The time frame, we got 1 more month before this contract is expired. We still can set a limit, but, you might wanna say, well, once you receive the bid, this will let you, somebody might be paying, ask you to pay more. I don't know that.
Let me ask a question. So when we send out the, advertisement, does it typically have the, acreage amount in there?
Yes, it's gonna have an acreage amount.
Okay.
Now, the limit part is, like I said, the board has a right to say what the limit is going to be. We will not accept bids, below this amount. Now, I can
Okay.
include that if you have some figure in your head that say, well, okay, I think we all will not accept X number of dollars, less than X number of dollars.
When I was talking about, comparable, I meant what you had given about other lands, not necessarily on this thing. I think that we need to take some action and take care of this.
Okay. Question, Ms. Lewis?
Ms. Washington, is it any way possible that maybe you could bring these action items to us in a more timely manner so that we won't be rushed, maybe 2 months prior to it expiring, or, because I wouldn't wanna be in a position where we would just have to go out and almost just take whatever.
Right, I understand that as well, because like I said, this only just gives me a little bit more time to make sure that once they do submit that bid, that you will already know whether or not you want to accept a certain number. So I got next month, but I'm just saying,
Mr. Waldington, we do have a work session coming up
Yes,
for
ma'am.
this
May-
month.
May 29th.
Would that help, you know, if we did something, before the work session?
Like a special
Or is
call.
that too long?
Special call meeting, that's the only way you can act
Uh-huh.
on it, that's the only thing.
Yes.
I can get some stuff to you, probably tomorrow, so that you can at least review it. And this right here, like I said, this one, like, we're trying to get approval, and there's a process, once you get the approval, to just advertise the other portion of it. And I mean, even in the, advertisement, I can, you know, I said the board decides that they want to put a standard in there, we can do that. But like I said, one board action.
Okay, Attorney Simmons.
So President Moore, as I understand it, Ms. Washington has presented, and based upon this 5-year contract that's about to expire, it's about $38 per acreage. So this is like 526 acres, so that $20,000 equates to about $38 per acreage. The board raised question about whether or not that's comparable for this type of land, and Ms. Washington indicated that there are so many factors to be considered. I was just want make sure that you understood, President Moore, and the board, that once you approve to advertise, she's gonna go through that process, and if you wanna be specific about what you're advertising for, now is the time. If you don't have enough information to make that motion right now, then yes, let's table it until you get that information. But if, say, Coach Fant, Board Member Fant said whether or not it should be $50, like, that determination has to be made by the time you make the motion to approve for advertisement.
Okay. Board members, what do we think about tabling this particular one? Because I do want us to, look at other comparable, acreage costs.
Okay.
And we do have a work session coming up. Mr. Waldington could possibly, schedule a, special call for this item.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna table this item, Ms. Washington.
Alright, the next one, is approval to cancel a lease. Lisa Anhorn, who held a lease at, 2003 Baxter Avenue, and renewed into a new 40-year lease with an annual lease payment based on 5% value of land. I received a letter from the county with the appraisal value of the land, and have, determined the amount that we could, charge for this lease payment. This is, we will be doing a whole lot more of these, a lot of the leases will expire, and that's probably 23 years, 24 years at most. So a lot of people are selling those houses, and so in order to sell them, because these are leases that are held by the county and not by the district, but it's still the district's property. So a lot of these leases are going to come up, and that's one of the requirements for, most banks to give a loan, is that they have at least 40 years plus an extension of 25 years, going forward. So we will see this a lot, and, so it's a standard process that we go through, as far as canceling the county lease and then reentering into a new lease, and now we will start receiving payments. They receive all payments upfront on whatever the amount was back in, those 9.5 years, this is when the initial lease was issued. And now, if they cancel these, now they'll start making annual payments to the district. So the district will now start receiving funds that we were not receiving over those 7-odd years.
Okay.
So we are canceling with her,
Yes.
but we're re-entering with someone else.
No, with her. We can
Oh,
only
she's
do
gonna-
that. Yeah, she's not gonna give up her
Okay.
property till,
Okay, I thought maybe she had sold it or something.
she's trying to sell. it.
Okay,
So in order for the other person to get it, they have to have 40 plus 25 years on
Okay.
it in order to, satisfy the bank requirement.
Okay. Okay. So do you want us to go ahead on and take action on this? Ms.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve to cancel the lease with Lisa Antoine, who held lease at 1003 Baxter Avenue, and to re-enter a new 40-year lease with annual lease payments based on a 5% of the value of the land.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries.
All right, the next item I have is approval to open bids for the sale of T.Y. Fleming Building and land containing 14.0 acres, more or less. Now, I only received one bid. There were, I think, at least four people who had initially, had interest in purchasing the land. One was not a purchase, one just wanted to outright, that the district give them the property, and they were planning on doing a nonprofit and having students, come in and do farming, teach them how to farm and do what have you. So the other three were interested in purchasing. One of the, persons, had an offer on the table, but I told him he could not accept an offer, without going through the bid process. So, right now, I only have one, I have one particular person who submitted a bid, we can open the bid, and once we open the bid, determine whether or not you want to accept or reject.
Okay. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve, for the approval to open bids for the sale of T.Y. Fleming Building and land containing 14 acres.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries.
I have received a bid from Highlandale Planning, and the bid amount is $15,000.
That's for the school in the 14 acre.
Yes, sir.
Well, that property's causing major problems. I'd love for the school district to get rid of it.
I want them to get rid of it too, but I don't want to give it away.
Well, we've been going through this for as long as I've been on the board.
It's a
Okay,
lot of-
colleagues, are we going to accept or reject a bid for 15,000?
Are you asking for a motion?
Yes,
I thought you were gonna open it up for more bids.
that was the only one. Is that correct?
Received one.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, we only received
But
one.
This has to
Only
be,
received one.
this has to be, how many times have we rebid this thing?
I'm not certain, I do know that before the bid amounted to like $3,000.
This is the best one we've had. I move that we accept the bid from T.Y. Fleming Sale.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor to accept the bid at $15,000?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. So, we are rejecting the $15,000 bid for T.Y. Fleming Building and land containing 14 acres. And so, because that bid was rejected, what is the process?
I can go ahead and try to re-advertise and see if we can get those others who were, interested, see if they would try to put a bid in.
And here again, what are we advertising for with acreage amount?
Well, we don't have an amount, of 14 acres, but we don't have a set amount that we
Okay.
pay for as far as the requested or minimum bid. I always say minimum because you don't wanna put a maximum on anybody, minimum bid, and we can put a minimum in on this request.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, yes, okay. So take a motion to table, the approval to advertise for a hunting and fishing contract at 1616 North 2 West containing 526.4 acres. And of course, it says the contract is held by Pin Oak Break. I'll take a motion to table.
Madam President, I move that we table this discussion,
Second.
on that tract of land, hunting and fishing until further time.
Okay, it has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item A, ESSER project update, Mark Pipper. I haven't heard from him.
Okay. Well, we'll move,
He's not. Okay.
we'll move forward.
Yes, ma'am. Agenda item number 9, public comments.
Okay, public comments. Board, we do have, according to our sign-in sheet, we do have guests, in the audience for public comments. And we just want to let you know that we'll allow 15 minutes or less. All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am, right there is fine. Make sure that, everyone can hear you in that microphone. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Laura Evans with Parents for Public Schools. I just wanted to share with the board some of the activities and events and projects that we've been working on as an organization. We did hold a community forum regarding the closure, potential closures of schools, and shared those comments and flyer with our superintendent. He did respond saying nothing had been said, but we wanted to just let you all know as a board that the public is still concerned about those issues. And we as an organization are still open to setting up forums or ways in which those that information can be shared, whether it's through the district, at an event. We're open. We meet people all the time that just give us anecdotal comments, but we want to have something official, just letting you as a public and as commissioners of the school board, you know, what is going on. So that was one of the most recent events that we had at the end of March. All throughout the last year since we had events, we offer opportunities for parents and constituents to say, I would love to participate in some type of workshops that our organization has. And as we've shared with the board and with previous superintendents about parent professional workshops that Parents of Public Schools does offer, we want to go ahead and implement those. So what we found is that so far, I think just in the last few months, we've had about 50 individuals. Most of those are parents who have children in our public schools who have expressed interest in parent professional workshops. So we would, at our most recent event, we were participants with Delta Sigma Theta and Greenwood before Hospital, who held a mental health symposium on Saturday. And this actually came up on ways that we can help parents better help their students. And as Parents for Public Schools says, when parents and schools work together, everyone wins. And so we want to make sure that our parents are equipped, empowered, and are aware of their role, rights, and responsibilities with the school district as they work together, because there is a way to work together. And as I mentioned before when I came before this body, is that when I went through the parent professional workshops, my eyes were open. They were enlightened about me as a parent, how to better prepare my child in the system. And I think that is what our workshops do. I did bring some more handouts to share with Mr. Washington. These are things that he and I had talked about last fall. I think we met in August of 2023. And then we also met with Mr. Brooks as well. So, and then we submitted the MOU in September of this past year. In addition, at each one of our events, we attendee that wants to fill out a survey. And we asked them, what is it, these are the three questions that we've asked. I actually brought one up here so I can share, and I will surmise these and share them with you, Superintendent. And these are probably some of the things we're already doing, but for some reason, they're not aware. So we asked one of the first questions, what systems are effective to help you stay engaged in your child's active progress? Whether that's conferences every quarter, every 6 weeks, as well as parent nights, or parents training for rights and responsibilities, or anything else that they want to suggest. Then we asked them to rank what they feel needs more attention. What's number one, what's most important, what's least important. Whether that's communication, opportunities for parent and community input, resources, assistance with social emotional needs, and parent passport. And I know our district is already doing some of these. So when we put number one, effective communication, some of the parents are selecting that. So I know every parent is not gonna know everything, but I think we do need to do a better job of ensuring that parents are aware of some of the things we're offering. And then what is your greatest concern or need for academic success for your child? Early detection of learning gaps. And I know that happens, those of you who are, I'm not an educational professional, but the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You know, I know that, you know, when my children were in elementary school, that's what I did. I read with the teacher and I said, oh, why didn't they grasp this? Those kinds of things. And once we put these surveys in place, the courses in our modules for those parent engagement programs actually identify these specific things. They learn their child's learning style. They learn how to engage with the district. They learn what is a welcoming school versus what is not, and how can we work on that. They also learn how to read the data. They learn what the role and responsibility is, not of us just as parents, but also the school board. They also learn about finance. So there are so many opportunities through these programs. So we want to again avail ourselves as parents from public schools on what we offer with our parent engagement leadership program and also our parent early childhood development program. So I will also share with our superintendent what we left at that time several months back. But that's all I have. And next month I'll bring in some specific data. But we did really get it in really engaging, and I hate to use the word exciting, but it just, for parents to talk about mental health awareness and how our children are impacted by everything that's going on in our community, and what can we do as parents. So we're at the point where we want to also not just reach out in our district, but we're going to reach out to the community. If we can do it outside of the district, we'll let you all know where they are, who's going to sponsor them, and then we would love for you all to just partner with us on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns to Ms. Laura Evans, who is serving as president of the LaFleur County chapter of Parents for Public Schools? No questions? Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. You're right about that. You're right about that. But thank you so much,
I'll sign in for the agenda next time.
ma'am.
There are some questions. I'll request to be on the agenda for one of these months so we can get talking about specific questions.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Thank you so much. All right. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Wallington.
Agenda item 10, regular agenda 10-1, approval to request proposals for K through 8 diagnostic instructional innovative program, English learner instructional intervention program, K-12 multifaceted technology-based program, and K-12 online assessment program. And I want to preference 10-1 through 10-5. The reason that we're bringing this early, because normally we would bring those to you all probably maybe in July, is because of the time factor that we have with ESSER funds. we're asking for these early to get started with them early so that we'll be able to pay for them with the ESSER funds because, again, as you all know, that we have to have those funds allocated by September 2024.
So, Mr. Wallington, you have it in 10-1, all of them,
But
but
ye-
it's broken out.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we'll just go through, we'll ask any questions concerning in the dialogue right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we'll just go through each one
Absolutely.
and take a quick action.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Colleagues, are there any questions regarding our RFP request? And it looks like we have several here. There are 5 RFP requests.
If it pleases the board, I'll read the executive summary
Yes.
for each one of them.
Yes.
The first one is a K-8 diagnostic instructional innovative program will allow teachers to screen and group students for targeted instruction, measure student growth, forecast student performance on Mississippi Academic Assessment Program tests, and determine whether students are meeting Mississippi grade level performance expectation. In addition, provide instructional resources that align to state standards, specifically developed to meet the rigor and the demands of the college and career ready standards in reading and mathematics. Must provide supporting evidence of alignment to the Mississippi College and Career Readiness standards in reading and math. The Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District is requesting approval of consideration for approval of aforementioned RFP.
Questions?
Yes, my question is, Mr. Washington, are we already using these programs and they have to be renewed?
Yes, ma'am, have to be renewed each
So
year.
we're using these exact,
Yes, ma'am. Well,
Okay.
we've done this exact same thing each year, and based on the rubric and the scoring by a committee, we have chosen certain programs for each one of the RFPs that we have. So yes, we do have programs in the district based on an RFP that was put out, exactly like this for the 23-24 school term.
so they expire annually?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
I do have a question, Mr. Wallington. I just don't recall us ever reviewing data that the programs that we utilize I've never seen where we look at or see some results of what they have provided.
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
services.
Absolutely, and we can do that based on, the data that we use or the programs that we use is all encompassing in the BMA data that we give, and we do that, but we do have specific data that shows, because with this program that we have based on this is iReady, and what it does is that it shows, where they were. We give them a beginning of the year diagnostic, mid-year diagnostic, and an end of the year diagnostic, and we'll be able to give, we'll be able to do a report on that at the next board meeting if that's something that you all want to do.
Or if we can
Want to
have
have happen, I'm sorry.
the representative from these companies, if they can come and maybe do a data presentation, where we were before we entered into an agreement, where we are, as a result, what did the data, were there any decreases, increases in data as a result? How did it your services impact our student achievement? So I'm just saying something very brief. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't even, longitudinal can be brief as well, like you provided in your superintendent
Yes,
report
ma'am.
with the increases from year to year.
Yes, ma'am, we can definitely do that.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, are there any more questions regarding K-8 diagnostic? Mr. Wallington.
The superintendent recommends school board consideration to approve to proceed with a request for proposal for the K through 8th Diagnostic Instructional Innovative Program for the 24-25 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval to proceed with a RFP for a K-8 Diagnostic Instructional Innovative Program for 24-25 academic school year. A motion is on the floor, colleagues.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Walden.
Agenda item 10.2, approval to request proposals for English Learners Instructional Intervention Program. Executive summary: the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated Curriculum Department is requesting board approval for a request for proposal for an English Learners Instructional Intervention Program for 24-25 academic school year. Purpose of the RFP is an English Learners Instructional Intervention Program will have the capability of providing instruction in each student's home language and gradually releases them into English instruction. The program will also provide intense intervention and course recovery opportunities for all students. The Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District is requesting approval of the aforementioned RFP.
Colleagues, any questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Wallington, your recommendation.
Superintendent recommends school board consideration to approve to proceed with request for proposal for an English Learners Instructional Intervention Program for the 2024-2025 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval to proceed with the request for proposal for an English Learners Instructional Intervention Program for the 2024-25 academic school year.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 10.3, approval to request proposals for K-12 multifaceted technology-based instructional program. Executive summary: the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated Curriculum Department is requesting board approval for a request for proposal for a K-12 multifaceted technology-based instructional program for the 2024-2025 academic school year. Purpose of the RFP: a K-12 multifaceted technology-based instructional program will have the capability of providing services in areas of state test-aligned assessments, evaluation, lesson planning, standards-based data analysis, and student support. A comprehensive program that will help administrators and teachers form continuity across a wide instructional spectrum. The program will provide concurrent, real-time, quality data to inform instruction as required by the Mississippi College and Career Readiness Standards. Ultimately, a program of this caliber will assist in improving student achievement district-wide. The Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District is requesting approval of the aforementioned RFP.
Colleagues, any questions, concerns? Ms. Lewis?
Mr. Washington, how much training is provided to teachers to ensure that they are adequately able to implement these programs?
Yes, ma'am. There's built-in professional development in whichever one of the programs that we choose. So those representatives of the program that is chosen, they come into the school districts on some of our professional development days. You know, we have professional development day every Wednesday. You know, so they'll come in and they'll work with the teachers, you know, given what it is that they would need to be able, as far as help is concerned. Most of what it is that we have through the RFPs that we have the programs that we end up with, we've had a number of years. So the teachers are
Somewhat
veteran. They're very familiar, with these programs, and of course we'll make sure that our new teachers, get familiarized themselves with it as well.
So will there be an opportunity before school starts to get the amount of training that they need if they're new teachers?
It will be this time because we're bringing it earlier. When you're talking about before school starts, I'm thinking you may be talking about before the 3 or 4 professional development days, and maybe we could bring some in, like our new teachers, end of July, to be able to go over this. It will give us the opportunity to be able to do that now with us, you all asking for approval and you all approving us to put the RFPs out as early as we are now.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Wallington, your recommendation.
The superintendent recommends school board consideration to approve to proceed with the request for proposal for a K-12 multifaceted technology-based instructional program for the 2024-2025 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval to proceed with a request or proposal for a K-12 multifaceted technology-based instructional program for the 2024-25 academic school year.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Wallington.
Agenda item 10.4, approval to request proposals for K-12 online reading assessment program. Executive summary: the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated Curriculum Department is requesting board approval for a request for proposal for a K-12 online reading assessment program for 2024-2025 academic school year. Purpose of the RFP: K-12 online reading assessment that helps teachers to address diverse student reading levels while supporting close reading skills necessary for college and career readiness. The program combines independent reading practice and reading skill practice to help students become independent and proficient readers of both literary and informational text as required by Mississippi College and Career Readiness Standards, and assess students accordingly for the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District. The Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District is requesting approval of the aforementioned RFP.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Wallington, your recommendation.
Superintendent recommends school board consideration to approve to proceed with the request for proposal for a K-12 online reading assessment program for the 2024-2025 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval to proceed with a request or proposal for a K-12 online reading assessment program for the 2024-25 academic school year.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 10.5, approval to request proposals for K-12 external providers. Executive summary: the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated Curriculum Department is requesting board approval for a request for proposal for K-12 grade external provider services for the 2024-2025 academic school year. The request for proposal is for external educational services in the area of reading, math, science, U.S. history for grades K-12, support of the Mississippi Assessment Program, Mississippi Academic Assessment Program. The provider will also analyze the needs already determined by the district and designs, develops, and deliver professional development accordingly. The providers should also provide evidence-based strategies, classroom assistance to build teacher capacity, and work with students in their individual areas of deficiencies. The support will provide independent consultation and advice to educators on specific requirements and educational methods and techniques designed to increase student achievement.
Colleagues, any questions regarding the K-12 external providers service? Mr. Waldington, your recommendation.
The superintendent recommends school board consider approval to proceed with the request for proposal for K-12 external providers in the areas of math, English language, arts, science for the 2024-2025 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion to approve, for the approval to proceed with a request of proposal for K-12 external providers in the areas of math, English language arts, and science for the 2024-25 academic school year.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 10.6, approval of the MOA for MDCC Middle College / dual enrollment for 2024-2025. Executive summary, the Middle College program is a dual credit, dual enrollment program run by a school district and a partnering post-secondary institution that offers high school students a wide range of dual credit and dual enrollment classes. The 11th and 12th grade students in the cohort spend a portion of the academic day at the high school and a portion at the partnering post-secondary institution where the classes are taught. The goal of the Middle College program is for students to earn an associate's degree or advanced national certification, as well as a diploma from their traditional high school. The Greenwood-LaFleur Consolidated School District will partner with Mississippi Delta Community College to implement the Middle College program. The school district and the community college has developed a memorandum of understanding that outlines responsibilities of each organization.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the MOU with MDCC for the Middle College High School? Mr. Waldington, your recommendation.
The superintendent recommends the school board consider approval of memorandum of understanding with Mississippi Delta Community College for Middle College program effective 2024-2025 academic school year.
Chair will now entertain a motion to consider approval for the memorandum of understanding with Mississippi Delta Community College for the Middle College program effective 2024-25 academic school year.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 10.7, approval of the MOA for MVSU dual enrollment. Executive summary, approval for Mississippi Valley State University memorandum of agreement for dual enrollment for the 2024-2025 academic school years. Mississippi Valley State University agrees to allow high school students enrolled in the Greenwood-LaFleur Consolidated School District that meet state requirements located in the MOA to enroll in courses at the university for a fee of $75 per course per student to be paid by the district. The faculty teacher will be employed by the university and shall meet all professional standards required by the Southern Association of Colleges and School Commission on Colleges and the Mississippi Institution of Higher Learning.
Any questions? Mr. Waldington, I do have a question. The MOU for MDCC, is that one just for 11th and 12th graders?
Yes, ma'am. Middle
And
college.
okay. And then the one for MVSU, what's the grade level on that one?
I think that it is for, our dual enrollment is 11 and 12 graders as well, right? Some 10th graders, depending on the criteria. Some 10th graders, depending on them being able to meet the criteria and then they've taken the classes that they need to take.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Mr. Wallington, your recommendation.
The superintendent recommends school board consider approval of memorandum of agreement between Mississippi Valley State University and Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District in regards to dual enrollment for the 2024-2025 academic school years.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the MOA between Mississippi Valley State University and Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District in regards to dual enrollment for the 2024 through 2027 academic school years.
So moved.
Second, it has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 11, consent agenda.
Okay. Okay, the consent agenda at number 11 will proceed from 11.1 to 11.7. (11.1) to item 11.7. Mr. Wallington.
Recommendation, superintendent recommends school board consider approval of consent agenda items 11.1 through 11.7.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda, items 11.1 through 11.7.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 12, personnel. Agenda item 12.1, approval of summer feeding program. Personnel.
What page is that are you referring to, Mr. Waldington?
It begins on 155.
Mr. Waldington, your executive summary.
Yes, sir. Executive summary, 26 food service employees are being recommended to work for the 2024 summer feeding program, which will run Monday through Friday, beginning June 3rd and ending June 28, 2024. This constitutes 20 working days. The attached documents delineate the employee roster, salary scale, and the number of days each employee will work unless participation and other unforeseen circumstance dictate that changes should be made, excuse me.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the summer feeding recommendations? Mr. Waldington.
Recommendation, the superintendent recommends school board consider approval for the employees who have been submitted to work in the 2024 summer feeding program to include necessary adjustments that may be necessary in order to ensure a successful and financially viable outcome.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval for the employees who have been submitted to work in the 2024 summer feeding program to include the necessary adjustments that may be necessary in order to ensure a successful and financially viable outcome. A motion, okay.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 12.2, approval of 2024-2025 salary scales. Executive summary attaches a copy of the salary scales for 2024-2025, which require board approval.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the salary scales for 24-25? Mr. Wallington, I see that the social worker salary scale is in alignment with the educator salary scale.
Yes, ma'am, that has been the
Okay.
practice of the school, yes,
Okay.
ma'am, of the school.
Colleagues, are there any questions, concerns, or comments regarding the salary scale? Mr. Wallington.
Recommendation, superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the 2024-2025 salary scales for school nurses, social workers, paraprofessionals, school safety and resource officers, speech pathologists, and district personnel.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the 2024-25 salary scales for school nurses, social workers, paraprofessionals, school safety and resource officers, speech pathologists, and district personnel.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Mr. Walton.
Agenda 12.3, approval of the 24-25 personnel report. Executive summary attached is the personnel report for 24-25.
Mr. Wallington, I do have a question regarding, how are we coming with the recruitment for bus drivers?
Yes, ma'am, we are bus drivers and cafeteria workers and certain aspects as far as our certified teachers. You know, we're constantly advertising for those positions. Also, what we have decided in having a conversation with Dr. Coleman, who is over maintenance and operations, what we're going to do and what she's going to do is she's going to work with the transportation department to see if we can work on our routes to be able to maybe consolidate some to help with the the shortage of bus drivers and you know, certain things of that nature, because the number of students have gone down. Our bus routes have pretty much stayed the same, you know, from consolidation to now. So we're looking at that to be able to do that, and that will help with the, you know, with the lack of bus drivers as well. But yes, ma'am, we are advertising for those positions.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding personnel recommendations for 24-25?
And that's just page what?
167, 165, 166, 167, 168.
Yes, I have questions.
Question, Ms. Lewis.
Mr. Waddington, do we have, salary scales for these positions on page 168?
There's no scales for some of these positions. They just, you know, they had a flat salary, and that's what it is that they, you know, that they receive. They have received, you know, from one year to the next. There's for some of the positions that we have in our school district, we do not have a salary scale for them, but we have a salary, you know, that was approved. I want to say it was at consolidation.
So we've never had a salary scale for, federal programs?
No.
Federal programs?
No.
Colleagues, please be mindful of pages, in addition to 168, 169, 170, 171, 172, 173. Yeah, it'll stop on page 173.
Would it be in the best interest of the district to set some salary scales, although there have not been any?
It is no set best practice for, you know, some positions. When you're talking about paraprofessional positions, you know, cafeteria workers, janitors, maintenance workers, SROs, you know, such as that, then yes, it would be to have a salary, because you would want to, you know, want them to have a scale which will know how to hire, or they'll understand what their salary would be for the next school term. Some positions like federal programs and district positions that we're looking at on that particular page, you know, those, they could have salary scales, you know, but, you know, it would, based on the way that the district has done it now, it would be more of a recommendation from the superintendent as far as a, you know, an increase in pay or something to that effect, so.
And more specifically, like you said, on this page 168, starting with the first one, all of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right, yeah,
The
because,
first 10.
right, the
because-
social workers and parent liaisons, they already do. Okay.
I do have a question, regarding page 168, first item. Do we have a job description for this particular job?
Yes, ma'am.
Has it been approved?
It was approved the year before.
Okay.
As far as that's concerned, the 23-24 school term. The job and the job description was approved. All of the job descriptions will be, you know, brought back, because they have, best practice is to bring them back each year. All job descriptions for every position in the school district will be brought back for your all's consideration at the June board meeting.
And what does that particular job title, what is that? Is that, okay, so what is that person going to be doing in this role?
My recommendations are based on the recommendations from the year before. I can get that job description to you all, email to you all before the end of the day or first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Would you also include number 9 and number 2?
What page?
168.
168.
Number 2, number 9. Oh, and number 10.
Any more questions, concerns, or comments regarding our personnel report? I'm sorry, salaries. Is it salary scales? Personnel.
Yeah, we approved the salary scale. It's a personnel report.
Personnel report.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Waldington, your recommendation.
Recommendation, the superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the 24-25 personnel report.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the
425, it's a typo.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
2024, 2025 personnel report.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 12.4, approval of the 2023-2024 personnel report. Executive summary attached this personnel report for 2023-2024.
What page are you located on, Mr. Waldington?
174 and
Okay.
175.
Colleagues, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the 23-24 personnel report?
I do have a question.
Question, Mrs. Lewis.
Mr. Waterson, when it comes to the contracts, specifically with those people who have positions that we don't have salary scales for, so basically, how do you make that determination?
As far as the contract is concerned,
As far as the salary?
the salary is based on the previous year's salary, which you all have approved that salary scale for most of the people that are on here, especially when we're talking about your, when you're talking about like your federal programs director, all of that has been approved and is approved on here. So it's based on for federal programs, it just depends on the position, but federal programs is based on a 1-year contract. I think it's 240 days or 230, 230 something, and it's that set salary that is approved in the contract or in the project as far as the federal programs is concerned. And it's it's a set salary based on the year-to-year approval as far as the board is concerned.
Okay. Any more comments, questions, or concerns regarding the personnel report for 23-24? Mr. Waldington.
Superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the 2023-2024 personnel report.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the 2023-24 personnel report.
So moved.
The motion has been moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Waldington.
Agenda item 13, financial executive summary. Attached are the financial reports for the month ending March 2024. The following reports are attached: claims docket April, statement of revenue, statement of expenditures, current budget status, cash flow statement, statement of fund balance, combined balance sheet, bank reconciliations, quarterly budget amendment report.
Colleagues, please take a moment to peruse the monthly financial report. Mrs. Lewis.
Ms. Thomas, on, page 272, on the school lunch reimbursement, looking at the percentages in that last column, 55%, do you anticipate, being that it's May, what do you anticipate, collecting for the last month? Or did you include, is summer in there as well, or is this just a school year?
So a lot of times we receive that money, like usually they'll send, so like school food service money does not come in when the regular money come in, it comes a little bit afterwards. So like most of the deposits, so we probably don't get it till like the next month. So most of the MDE stuff comes at the end of the month, but that one is kind of, it's probably why the percentage looks like that.
But it's done by the month, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of low right now, sitting at 55%. Out of
If we get them every month, but like I said, they are like, most of them, it doesn't come at the end of the month. Even though it's for whatever reimbursement she's done, it's like it's behind.
Colleagues, any more questions, comments, or concerns regarding our financial statements? I do have a question, for Ms. Washington. Mr. Waldington is not
Yes,
having,
ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
On page 272 again, Ms. Washington, I see this is under 16th section. Item number 5110. Page 272. Item 5110. And it's listed under anticipated revenue.
Okay. What is your question?
Surface leases, can you explain that?
That's the land. Minerals is usually something you dig for, but surface is the land. That's hunting and fishing. That's your agriculture leases.
Okay.
And your recreational leases. Those are all considered surface.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
And then, I'm looking at 5600, is that the total earnings on 16th section thus far? 5600.
That's normally your interest that you're
Okay.
receiving. So you should have some
Interest.
interest. So
Okay,
that's just something that probably need to be looked at. That's all.
interest collected,
Was the interest, I'm saying the interest should have been collected. That might be where they have on it, it's 5,900, you think? At 5,700, no, it's the cost sharing.
yeah, I'm
basis,
just
so no.
looking at the, 5600.
Yeah, so it should be some interest that should have been coming in on that 16 section money.
Okay,
Matter of fact, you probably can you probably can look at your bank statement and see what interest has come in on that particular fund.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mrs. Lewis?
Ms. Thomas, on page 274, looking at these activity fund fund balances, are those numbers correct?
What item is it, Ms. Lewis?
It's on page 274, Elgin High School activity fund, ending fund balance,
Okay, okay.
7,000, is that correct?
So you saying that, is that the fund balance?
It says, I'm looking at the column, it says end balance.
Mhm.
Is that saying that's what they have in their account now?
They don't, no, that's not money-wise, no. They, I mean, if you look at the, bank statement for the activity, it'll show whatever the ending balance is for the activity account.
So what is this number representing on this particular report?
So this one just represents the receipts to date total versus the expenditures.
Still looks like they got a pretty decent amount of money. And some of the other schools as well. Cause I'm looking at the receipts and the expenditures.
So if you look at page 401, that's
Uh-huh.
gonna tell you how much money was in that particular bank account as of the end of that month for the statement. %.
Okay, and then the athletic fund, it's, in the negative. Do we anticipate any funds going into there, or?
So at the end of the year, it'll be a little different because this time, and I think as far as coding wise, because a lot of times when requisitions are entered by Gatewood, he uses the 1160 fund, but the revenue really is at the, like, on the school levels, like the 1155, you know, whatever the school is. So that's why it looks like that for that particular line.
But it's not gonna clear, all of it's not gonna clear out, it's just gonna.
Some of it will, most of it will.
Okay.
Colleagues, any more questions, concerns, or comments regarding our monthly financial report? Mr. Wallington.
Recommendation, superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the March financial reports and the payment of claims 958-117 to 958-371.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the March financial reports and the payment of claims 958-117 to 958-371. A motion is still on the floor.
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. At this time, we are going to entertain a motion to close this session for consideration of executive session. I'll repeat.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries.
did not go into executive session, or it was not determined that the board needed to go into executive session on any matter.
At this time, colleagues, we will revert back to the beginning of our agenda to take action on one or two items. Mr. Wallington, we will go back to agenda item number 3.1, 3.2, and 4.
Agenda item number 3, policy update review. 3.1, review of all D policies, finance, and 3.2, approval of J policies, students, policies JAA through JE, and JGCDA-P, management of Narcan and other opioid antagonists.
Okay, here. Okay, colleagues, Mr. Wallington has referred to J policies regarding the section regarding students. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding JAA through JE and JDCDAP policies?
I do have a comment
Mrs. Lewis.
on JGCBA-P. I did notice in here, Mr. Washington, it says, Narcan or other opioid antagonists will be available at all schools in the Greenville LaFleur Consolidated School District. School nurses and school resource officers will be trained on the administration of Narcan or other available opioid antagonists unless otherwise prescribed by state law. So is that something we maybe could put in place? Cause is it in place now?
Yes, what you read from is our policy. That's the
Right.
policy that we have.
But I'm saying, do we have the Narcan in the schools and have training been provided to the nurses and the school resource officers?
And I'll get that information from the nurses department and from the resource departments to
Okay.
whether we have or not, and if we haven't, then I'll get the information to you all when that will take place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Waldington, your recommendation.
Review of D policies. Superintendent recommends school board consideration of review of all D policies financial. That's agenda item 3.1.
Yeah, but I can't find my, okay. Okay, so this is a review.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair. Yeah, just, we're not reviewing, we don't need to take an action on that one, do we?
No, ma'am, just actually,
Okay.
item
Just a
3,
review.
item 3.2 is the action item, President
Yes.
Moore.
Okay, so so just a review of 3.1. 3.2, Mr. Walden.
3.2, superintendent recommends consideration of approval of policies JAA through JE and JGCDA-P, management of Narcan and other opioid antagonists.
Chair will now entertain a motion for the consideration of approval of policies JAA through JE and JGCDA-P, management of Narcan and other opioid antagonists. A motion is on the floor.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Mr. Wallington.
Agenda item number 4, approval of April 2nd, 2024, regular board meeting minutes, the April 9, 2024 special call meeting, and the April 24, 2024 special call meeting and work session minutes.
Attorney Simmons.
Yes, President Moore, I've reviewed the minutes, and I think it's just one change as it relates to on May the 2nd, where it has Dr. Coleman actually was present and she was not present.
Okay. So, okay. We'll make that note.
But it's not, the May 2nd is not up for approval now anyway, though, so.
Okay, is that work session minutes?
Yes, hold on, I got it right. Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
April 2nd.
listed. Yeah, it's listed
I'm sorry,
there.
I'm sorry, April 2nd.
Uh-huh, it's fine. Okay. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
All right. Mr. Wallington.
Recommendation, superintendent recommends school board consider approval of the April 2nd, 2024 regular board meeting minutes, the April 9, 2024 special call meeting, the April 24, 2024 special call meeting and work session minutes, and the May 2nd, 2024 work session minutes.
Chair will now entertain a motion to consider the approval of the April 2nd, 2024 regular board meeting minutes, the April 9th, 2024 special call meeting, the April 24th, 2024 special call meeting and work session minutes, and the May 2nd, 2024 work session minutes. A motion is still on the floor.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Have a great evening.